Earlier today, the Foreign Office Minister Stephen Doughty explained the reasons behind the sacking of Lord Mandelson.
In light of additional information in emails written by Peter Mandelson, the Prime Minister has asked the Foreign Secretary to withdraw him as Ambassador to the United States. The emails show, Mr. Speaker, that the depth and extent of Lord Mandelson's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein is materially different from that known at the time of his appointment. In particular, Mr. Speaker, Lord Mandelson's suggestion that Jeffrey Epstein's first conviction was wrongful and should be challenged is new information. And in light of that, Mr. Speaker, and mindful, as we all are, of the victims of Epstein's appalling crimes, he has been withdrawn as ambassador with immediate effect.
But yesterday, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, expressed his support for the former US ambassador. Starmer insisted he had confidence in Peter Mandelson.
The ambassador has repeatedly expressed his deep regret for his association with him. He's right to do so. I have confidence in him, and he's playing an important role in the UK-US relationship.
Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of child prostitution and sex trafficking that took place between 2002 and 2005. That is the precise period which Lord Mandelson called Jeffrey Epstein his best pal. Absolutely. Was the Prime Minister aware of this intimate relationship when he appointed Lord Mandelson to be our ambassador in Washington?
The ambassador has repeatedly expressed his deep regret. He is right to do so. He's now playing an important part in the US-UK relationship.
Well, let's just take a moment to recall Lord Mandelson's grovelling apology regarding his connections to Jeffrey Epstein. He spoke to Harry Cole. Harry's now based in Washington, the editor-at-large of The Sun. He also has a new programme called Harry Cole Saves the West. This is what Lord Mandelson said.
One, I feel a tremendous sense, a profound sense of sympathy for those people, those women who suffered as a result of his behaviour and his illegal criminal activities. And secondly, I regret very, very deeply indeed carrying on that association with him for far longer than I should have done. And I regret very much that I fell for his lies. I fell and accepted assurances that he had given me about his indictment, his original criminal case in Florida. Like very many people, I took at face value what he said. With hindsight, with fresh information, many years later, we realized that we had been wrong to believe him. He's a charismatic criminal liar, we now see. And I regret very much indeed, I felt it like an albatross around my neck since his death in 2018 or 19 when it was. I feel a tremendous sense of regret, not only that I met him in the first place, but that I continued the association and I took at face value the lies that he fed me and many others.
I speak to Philip T. Reeker. He's a former US ambassador to the UK, former US diplomat who served as Assistant Secretary of State in the Biden administration. Philip, thank you for joining us. Presumably, a lot of Washington is just laughing at the incompetence, the ridiculousness of this. Okay, it's a very, very serious issue involving a paedophile, but this is just ludicrous, isn't it? What is the view from where you sit?
Well, thanks for having me, Peter. It's good to join you again. Look, I think this is all very unfortunate in terms of the diplomacy, the timing. Obviously, Lord Mandelson, I think, had done a very strong job as ambassador in Washington, helping to create the relationship between President Trump and Prime Minister Starmer, the positive visits they've had, the US-UK trade deal, and the work that's been going on with that, and the agenda that he's pressed in so many of his talks in Washington and across the country, across the United States, about the need to work on tech, particularly AI. And that was all, I think, coming to a very nice showcase with the upcoming state visit, as you mentioned, next week. So this is unfortunate. I don't think it's something people are particularly laughing about. I do know that the UK embassy is under very good leadership with James Roscoe stepping up. He's, of course, the deputy head of mission and will now be the chargé d'affaires, that is the man in charge at the UK embassy in Washington, the UK mission across the United States. Extremely good diplomat, great experience, including key positions in London, going back with other prime ministers, with the royal household, and at the United Nations. So I think all of this unfortunate. It shows just how damning this Epstein situation is for many people involved. And now we just need to move ahead with the important things on the agenda.
It's important to move ahead, as you say. Certainly there will be many, many important discussions that happen over the course of the pomp and ceremony of the state visit, but also those very important discussions as well. I just wonder, from a judgment perspective, whether those in Washington, whether those in the diplomatic community are questioning, at the very least, Lord Mandelson's judgment, if not the Prime Minister himself, because we have a Prime Minister here in the UK who within 10 days has lost a Deputy Prime Minister and an Ambassador to Washington on the eve of a state visit by the United States President. Both of those things are incredibly serious.
The calendar certainly has sort of merged at a particular point at the very end of summer. And as people say, August is not always a quiet month. And as we move into September, we can see that at hand. I mean, everybody's got to make their own judgment of the judgment in this particular case.
What's your judgment?
Look, I think it's very unfortunate to see how many people Epstein was surrounded by, prominent people. We've seen continuing new information emerging about that case, of just the level in which he circulated, and those who I'm sure quite genuinely regret their relationship with him, the charisma, the money, the other things that drew people to him, I suspect, in hindsight, of course, look very different, understanding the crimes that he committed. And so I think what we have to focus on as diplomats anyway is moving ahead with the key events coming up and the strong relationship between the United States and the United Kingdom, often called the special relationship, of course. And I think we can do that. I think on both sides there'll be a desire to do that. I know that President Trump is looking forward to this visit, holds King Charles in very high esteem. Yeah. There'll be an opportunity to celebrate that, just as we're on the cusp of the 250th anniversary of our own, shall we say, separation from.
Yes, we're still very annoyed about that, but we wish you well. Philip, I just wonder, just in regard to that special relationship, because there's something in that, isn't there? Because there are real fissures, are there not, between Keir Starmer, his view on Gaza, although of course President Trump has said recently about the humanitarian cost there and how important it is to remember that, and that he's asked for Israel to be more considerate of the humanitarian side of things. We know as well on Ukraine there have been real differences, and President Trump has been, in the most generous interpretation, unpredictable in regard to his relationship with President Putin, with President Zelensky. It's been up and down. I just wonder, I mean, I'm sure you'll say the special relationship will endure and it'll all be fine, but it seems to me that the special relationship, certainly under the current UK and US administration, has been under quite a lot of pressure, and perhaps more than it has been for a while.
Well, look, when I was Assistant Secretary for Europe, and that was actually during the first Trump administration, for most of that time as a career diplomat, I carried out the transition and stayed working for Secretary Blinken for the first 6 months, and then he sent me to London for a year to be the interim ambassador there. We had strong differences. Let's remember, some of the differences we had with the Boris Johnson government and others, and then, of course, over Afghanistan and other issues when I was actually there in Nine Elms representing the United States, and again, working very closely even when we had difficult policy differences. I think, Prime Minister Starmer has done a very good job of establishing a trust and relationship with President Trump, even where there are policy differences, but they've understand how to nuance those and how it's important to deal with the whole range of issues, including the economic and trade issues that have been really critical for the futures of both our countries, and the broader transatlantic relationship as well. You see the UK working better with the EU, its geographic neighbors, of course, historical allies as well. And so these things, they can get complicated, and they come to heads like this sometimes. And we rally round, and as you said, we've been through a lot before. We'll get through this, and I think it's important that we do.
Speaking of going through things and tough times, Philip, your country is having a really tough time at the moment in regard to the horrendous assassination of Charlie Kirk, who's someone a lot of our viewers and listeners listened to, respected, heard, and often agreed with politically. But whether you agreed with him or not, I think what we can agree is that he was someone who really spoke up for free speech, which is a value both our countries hold very, very dear.
Yeah, I think it's an absolute tragedy, and my sympathies join, I think, just about everyone in my country, but yours and around the world, in decrying this tragedy, and the condolences to his young family. He was a young man, a very dynamic man, while we don't know all the details, motivations, other things of this assassination, that's still ongoing. I saw your latest updates from the FBI's announcements. We just have to step back and say, look, we have the ability to have differences in discourse, particularly in our democracies where free speech is important. We've had other examples. Earlier this year, we had in the state of Minnesota, leaders, state representatives from the Minnesota state government who were gunned down in their homes. A representative and her husband killed, shot dead. They were from the left side in that discussion, and also, strongly believed in the importance of the democratic system. There's just too much of that. We've got to tone this down and be able to have differences, even in this world of social media, where we can talk about things rationally, respect each other, and certainly keep violence like this out of it.
Philip, you're a class act. Maybe you should be our next ambassador to Washington. That would be a left field, but I think a very good appointment. Philip, thank you. Philip T. Reeker there, former US ambassador to the UK, former US diplomat. He served as Assistant Secretary of State for 2 years, and he's a partner in DGA, Albright Stonebridge Group of Advisors.